Well, hello, my friends. Welcome, guys, to Third Stage Ranch in Glen Rose, Texas. Troy Brewer here coming at you strong. And, guys, do I have an announcement for you? Oh, my gosh. I'm so glad to share this with you. It is like my greatest joy. This has been a woozer of a day, a wowzer of a day, a whoo, however it is you spell that, of a day. And I want to tell you guys that I'm just going to tell you. We have rescued a little girl that we have been looking for, and we've got her. Yeah. Come on, come on, come on. Like, what are you talking about? Okay, so listen, I've got to tell you this rescue story, and I got to tell you how we got there and what happens when the body of Jesus presses in and when we will not say no. And I'm so grateful for my teams. I'm so grateful for my prayer partners. And now there is a beautiful little girl who is alive and well, who was actually in the hands of the cartel until this morning. And I can't wait to tell you about it. Guys, we got her. We got her. So just start saying, thank you, Jesus, right there where you're at. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. The little girl, I've been announcing for the last 3 weeks that there were some guys murdered in Brazil, on the Brazilian side of where we work at on the Amazon. There was a lot of chaos that happened within a short time as a new cartel moved in. We actually have a rescue center there. We've rescued more than 120 kids in 1 year there. And in the midst of all of that chaos of us trying to figure out all this stuff, this woman comes and takes one of our children. Now, I've been telling you that, but I haven't told you who it was. And the reason why I didn't tell you who it was because this little girl is literally the picture of redemption for us. If you know anything about the miracles that have happened in our rescue of children, you know this little girl. Let me show you her picture. This is Franciella. That's her. Now, this little girl is one of my favorite little girls on the whole planet Earth because of a story I'm fixing to tell you. And then I'm going to lead you through the saga of what has taken place with us over the past couple of weeks. Franciella is an extraordinary little girl. She's not just, she's actually a very extraordinary little girl. And what I can tell you is that when this thing happened 3 weeks ago, when she was taken from us and sold repeatedly since then, it has been one of the most difficult things that I have been through in my 28 years of rescuing kids. I have never had a rescue kid need to be rescued again. Never has that ever happened. And we're talking about more than 10,000 kids. And I have never one time have we rescued a child that we had them and we saw them healed, set free. God did amazing things in their lives. And then something happened and we lost that child to the same monsters that had her before. Well, that's what we personally been going through the past 3 weeks. I've not said her name. I'm not told who it was for two different reasons. Number one, because I knew that we were fighting hard to get her back. And when I say fighting hard, that means our teams behind the scenes have been working with the local churches that are down there, our ministry teams that are down there. We have also been working with, undercover people that work with cartels, the local cartel that is there, and the new Venezuelan cartel that has moved in there. And they're literally rounding up children, and they use those children for the harvesting of organs. And we've been hoping and praying for the past 3 weeks that it was the old cartel and not the new cartel that had her. And we didn't know until yesterday. We're talking about yesterday, this time yesterday. We didn't find out until yesterday that it was the old cartel and not the new cartel, which is very good news. Still bad, bad, bad. Kids have to be rescued out of sexual slavery and all kinds of terrible things. But we didn't know until yesterday, until my team got down there and Pastor Swan and me actually got down there. We didn't know that it was the old cartel that got her and not the new cartel. So if you're like, okay, well, I still don't know who you're talking about. I want to tell you that a year ago, my team was down there, and to just refresh that story and get you caught up to date, you need to know that I was in Key West, Florida with my bride, and I had a dream. And when I had this dream, the dream was I was in the future having a dream about asking me about my past. And the future was I had just died and I'd stepped into the glory of God, and they were doing this guy was doing like a post-game interview with me. And it's like, Troy, sit down. My goodness, what incredible favor you walked in. And Troy, my goodness, what the Lord did, how much the Father loved you, and he showed the Father's heart through you. It was incredible. And I'm like, yes, it was. And I'm like, he goes, I know you're so excited to enter into the kingdom, but I got to ask you, what are your top 10 favorite miracles? And I began to tell him, and I knew what all those miracles were. And after we went through that, he goes, yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one, man. That was a big one. Yes, that was amazing. And then he said, what do you think the top 10 miracles are that you missed? And when he said that, this serious thing changed. And I was instantly aware of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of miracles that I had missed. And he said, tell you what do you think the biggest one is? And I said, I know exactly what it was. Had I made it down in the summer of 2022, when my team was in the Amazon working down there, if I would have made it to that little girl that we had just rescued, God would have saved her and healed her and set her free. And in the dream, I said exactly how that would happen. Now, in real time, outside of the dream, we had just rescued a little girl, and the little girl was so traumatized from the terrible sexual abuse and all different kinds of abuse that she had gone through. She couldn't speak. She was nonverbal, very feral in how she acted, and 9-year-old beautiful little girl. And this is what she looked like when we had just rescued her. That's her. And that little girl, we cleaned her up and washed her hair and put some good clothes on her, and we're trying to get her happy. And my team sent me this picture and said, this little girl is so messed up. Please be in prayer for her. And I had been praying and praying for her, and I've been looking at her picture like I do all my kids as they come across my phone. And I'm just like, wow. In my dream, which was about the future, talking about the past, which is now my present, I said, had I made it down there, if I would have just found a way to make it down there, God had this incredible miracle, and the miracle would have gone like this. I would have walked up to that little girl, and I would have said, hello, Franciella, I'm your Papa Troy. Come here and hug me. And these chains would have fallen off of her, and she would have come right straight over to me, and she would have hugged me. And then after she realized the Father's heart and how much he loved her, I would have just looked her in the eye, and all I had to say was, Franciella, it's okay for you to start talking now. And she would have started talking, and it would have been the greatest miracle ever. And I looked across and I said, man, I missed that miracle. And the angel of the Lord said, yeah, that was a big one. And then boom, it was over. That, as soon as I woke up my wife, told her I have to go to Bogota, Colombia, and then I got to go down to the Amazon River. I got to catch up with my team, find this little girl. I know the miracle that's going to take place. And she said, go. So I hopped in the car, drove to Miami. She got in a plane. She went home. I met my son, Ben, who's in the room right now. Met him down in Bogota, Colombia. We spent the night in Bogota, and then we got on another plane, flew across the jungle, ended up in the Amazon. As soon as I got off the plane, my team was there to meet me. I told them, God's going to do this miracle. It's going to be so incredible. Get ready, get ready. We went straight across the Brazilian border. We went straight into my rescue center. I had a team of probably 25 people down there at that time. It might have even been more than that. Everybody was exhausted. It was super hot. They've been working around traumatized children all day. And everybody was just like, man, Pastor, what's going on? I said, guys, God's going to do a miracle. I walked in there, and Suwanami is there. Pastor Suwanami is one of my greatest rescuers, and she's over all the children's ministry of our church. And I said, what's going on? She said, your little girl is just over here. I walked over there, and that little girl was sitting there. She was holding an ice cream, and she had that same look of what she looked like the day that we rescued her. And I want to show you that look, what that look looks like. That look, just this look where her mouth is always open. There's no life in her, any of that. So I look across, and she's sitting there, and she's just kind of holding ice cream. Kids are running around. It's total chaos. All these kids that we've rescued, they're having children's church and like a VBS type thing. And I said, Franciella. She didn't look at me. And I said, Franciella. And she finally just kind of looked her at, she just kind of went like this and looked over, and I said, hey, I'm your Papa Troy. And I love you so much. Come over here and see me. And she looked at me like this. And all of a sudden her eyes got big and she smiled. And Swanami went, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And that little girl, as God is my witness, jumped up, came across the room. This is a child that would not touch any other human beings. No other human beings were allowed to touch her. She was messed up in her head. That little girl, just like in the dream that I had, that little girl got up and came straight over to me and she hugged me. And I have a good friend of mine by the name of Giles Hooper that was standing there, and Giles was taking pictures. I want to show you the picture of that little girl's first hug. Okay. That's, if you're like, okay, yeah, that's just a hug. The more she hugged me, the more she hugged me. I want to show you the next picture of that. That little girl hugged me and gave me this holy hug that you cannot imagine. And then whenever she gets done with that, I look across from her and Suwanami is translating for me, right? And so I gotta show you guys this. Okay, so I'm sitting here, and it's okay, Connie, you can switch that back over. Thank you. I'm sitting here and like I'm here, Suwanami is in the middle and she's translating in Portuguese, and this little girl is standing right here. And I said, Franciella, it's okay for you to start talking. And then Suwanami started translating that to her. And this little girl is like very attentive and listening, which is not what she'd done before. I want to show you a picture of that moment that I actually was telling her what I told her in the dream. And Suwanami was actually translating. Okay. That's that moment. Now, here's the deal. Friends, as God is my witness, that little girl, after Swanmi said to her in Portuguese, Papa Troy says, it's okay for you to just start talking now. It's okay. That little girl went, Troy. And she smiled. And as soon as she heard herself talk, she became Chatty Cathy. And she just started going, gang, 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 gang. And she wouldn't stop talking. And we were laughing. And she said, yeah, sometimes I come over here and I take care of that little boy. And down the street, there's a little boy. He's always lost. I have to help him. And sometimes, and she just starts telling me her role in life of being a mama girl. And we were like, you have got to be kidding me. And I'm like, wow. So she talked, we saw the miracle happen. Guys, that was 10 months ago. And over the past 10 months, I can tell you that the healing that God has done, Ben, the healing that God has done within this child has been the way that it's just been the picture of redemption. And out of all the kids that we've ever rescued, I'm telling you right now that this little girl has been healed, and she is the picture of what it means for a little girl to be saved in every single way that a child can be saved. So we're rejoicing in the Lord. We're saving more kids. We're doing amazing things. And then I can tell you this, man, that this thing happened 3 weeks ago. It's like, what happened? Sunday after church, Swanami came to me, told me about the murders of our friends. One guy I had been around, I assumed he was one of our employees. It turns out he was not one of our employees. But he was literally murdered holding his Bible. And she showed me a picture of him laying dead next to his Bible and what had happened to him. And it's just too much to even describe. And then that was not the worst news. The worst news that she brought was that the mama of Franciella had showed up. The mama is a prostitute, and the mama is owned by the cartel. And she said, I want my kid back, and I want her back right now, and had literally left with this kid. This kid started kicking and screaming and biting and gouging. And they were talking about, man, all this healing that we had seen, it was like it went away. It was like she got triggered as soon as she saw her mom, and she knew she was being drug away into a life of slavery and prostitution. And this is a 9-year-old little girl. And we were, and then our team, and then we didn't see her anymore. And that had happened on the Saturday or the Friday before that. And this was Sunday afternoon. And we were like, no way. The devil cannot have this kid. And man, I want to tell you, it's been hard. We We know exactly what she was rescued out of. And for the past 3 weeks, we know that she's been back in that place. And we've been fasting and praying. Our teams have been praying. We've been working with, professional. We've been working with on the politician level. We've been working on the army level. We've been working on the police level. Friends from all over the world that work in special operations that rescue kids. Those guys have been all about, man, we are going to help you with this. I've got counsel from amazing people and all these kinds of things. And we couldn't go down there. Although there was no flights, there's no way to get into that part of the world until August the 3rd, and then the 31st, which is just Sunday, the day before yesterday. We miraculously got 2 tickets on a plane from Bogota down there. And I gotta just tell you that yesterday, Suwanami called me and she said, we know where this child is at. We know that she's been sold multiple times in the past couple of weeks. And the reason why she's been sold is because they consider her mentally retarded. They consider her completely mentally disabled. She can't follow basic instructions. She's not cooperative in any way. They tried to use her with prostitution and a bunch of things happened. And they were like, we're not going to make any money off this little girl. Then they sold her to a group of guerrillas, a guerrilla group, and they're going to put her in slave labor. She won't cooperate. She just throws a fit, and she's a fighter. And they're like, whatever. And she ended up back in the town, which you can't really leave town because the only way there is by riverboat, and there was no flights in or out. But she ended up back in the cartel-controlled area. Thank God it's the old cartel and not the new cartel, because if it was a new cartel, they would have just drugged her and then taken her organs from her. This is the reality of what we're fighting with our kids all over the world. I know that people are saying it's not happened. They're liars, and they're part of the problem. They're liars. And this is happening. We know that this is happening. We have known it's been happening. We have 18 rescue centers throughout the planet Earth where we rescue kids, and we've been doing this for 28 years, and this is no joke. So we were just like, wow. Suwanami called me yesterday and said, we know where she's at, and we think we know how we can get her. I was like, wow. She gave me some good news and she gave me some bad news. She gave me some good news and she gave me some bad news. And then she said, tomorrow, which is today, is Franciella's 10th birthday. Today is that little girl's 10th birthday. Today is. And guys, I just tell you this, man, that whenever we're like, okay, that's got to be the Lord, because 10 is the number for perfect order. It's when God brings the word from the mountain. The 10 Commandments, right? It's when you bring the kingdom into somebody's life. It's a tithe, which means you're part of this kingdom or whatever kingdom that you tithe to. It's the 10 plagues and the judgment of God upon Egypt. And we're like, we're going to get her, and we're going to get her tomorrow. Now, all these miracles had to take place. Miracles of the bad guys had to be willing to be cooperative with us. And if they were not cooperative with us, they had to be cooperative with us. They had to, the place where she lives at, the only way you can get in is if the cartel comes and gets you and takes you in there, and then you do your business, and then the cartel takes you out. Well, Suwanami is a young, beautiful Mexican woman, and these guys sell women for a living, and that's not an option. Now, she's there with her husband, but still, we're like, that's not an option. You cannot do that. So Suwanami came up with a plan on how to get them to come to us. And I don't have all the details. I only know what the plan was. And I don't know if it worked out this way or not, because I have not met with Suwanami. I've only talked with her by text. And but this was what the plan was. We're going to have a birthday for her. And we're going to call them and say, we had planned a birthday party for her. Today's her 10th birthday. It's August the 1st. And we have a cake, and we have ice cream, and we have lots of gifts. And if you guys will bring her over, we'll give everybody cake and ice cream and gifts. And then our plan was, if she came, And if they were willing, it's okay. And if they were willing to do that, our plan was, we'll just say, let us have her back, or how much, do you guys want, or we'll work something out. And then whenever and hopefully by the grace of God, there'll be a move of God and they'll leave her with us. And that is like one of the craziest stories and one of the craziest plans you can possibly imagine. And that has been our plan for the past 24 hours, is that we'll have a birthday party for the cartel, for this little girl, and we'll invite the cartel, and then we'll feed them and we'll love on them and we'll give them all prizes and we'll bring lots of gifts. We'll give everybody gifts and we'll love on the kid, and we'll just ask if we can have her. Guys, I don't know the details of exactly what happened, but that's the plan I've been sitting on for the past 24 hours, as ridiculous as it sounds. And today, Ben's laughing, I'm laughing. It's just so ridiculous. And then today, while I was doing all my media and doing all this, I kept looking at my phone and looking at my phone and looking at my phone. And then boom, she sends me this picture and she says, "We got her." And guys, I got to show you the picture. Here it is. That's her. Woo! That's her. And that's Suwanami, who is one of the craziest human beings on the planet Earth. My eye holes have been leaking all day. And we have bawled and squalled, and we have celebrated, and we've done it. I mean, I had to share this with you. I had to come to you and tell you guys, we've got her. And the little girl that's been missing is like one of my most precious little girls on the planet Earth. She's like one of like maybe 30 girls that we've rescued, that out of the thousands and thousands, these 30 girls are like my daughters. They're like somebody I consider my actual daughter, and somebody that considers me their actual papa. And we've got her. And you know what? The Lord tells me all the time, simple solutions to complicated issues. We didn't have to use the army. We didn't have to do special ops. We didn't have to do all these things. You know what we did? We did a birthday party, because today is that little girl's 10th birthday party. Guys, I know that there's a lot of other things too. I know that Suwanami took her shopping for her own birthday present. She picked this big giant doll, and I have a picture of that as well. And I'm not prepared to show that, but there's going to be a lot of other stories. Obviously, she's been with the cartel for the past 3 weeks, and obviously that hasn't been a vacation. However, the Lord healed her before. He'll heal her again. We have doctors lined up to see her and to see to her needs and to make sure that her little body is healthy. And we will love her, and the Spirit of the Lord will break that yoke off of her. And that's what's going to happen. And we've seen it before. We'll see it again. Out of all the kids that could have been targeted by the devil, this one little girl, who is the face of redemption. I want to show you that picture of me and her together 10 months ago, whenever God did this great miracle. That little girl is the picture of redemption. For this little girl to be stolen from us, the first time in 28 years that we have had a kid that we have rescued, that we have had to re-rescue, of course it would be her. Of course it would. And the devil, I've been telling you guys, the witchcraft that we fight down there and with so many other places that we're at is severe and it's serious. But I want to just tell you this, devil from hell, you lose. Hey, pornography, you bunch of punks, you lose. All you guys that threatened us in Washington, D.C. last week, you pornography dudes, you lose. Devil from hell, regional spirit, you lose. Pornhub, you lose. You lose. We have this little girl, and you're never going to get her again. I am just so happy. I cannot tell you happy. Now, we're going to keep her rescued. We're going to keep her rescued. And all of our other kids that we are rescuing, our 3 different rescue centers we have in Mexico, our 2 rescue centers that we have in Belize. our 3 different rescue centers that we have in the Amazonas, and then all throughout the rest of the world. In those places, in Nicaragua, in all those places, we're going to keep our kids rescued. And I want you to celebrate with me. I want you, if you would, to praise King Jesus and to thank him. I can't tell you what it means to me that this girl is with us, is back with us. I also can't tell you what it means to have teams. The counsel that I've got from professional people has been so encouraging. I'm talking about people that do this every day, that actually go and rescue kids every single day. Like, well, don't you do that? Not like that, I don't. I'm not half the man that these other people are. These guys that do all these special ops and all this, I'm not the special ops guy. I'm the Holy Ghost guy. And I'm just the guy of simple solutions to complicated issues. And I'm just the pastor of a church that's a crazy Texan that doesn't know what the heck he's doing. And God Almighty has blessed it for 28 years. And we've been able to rescue untold thousands. And, we have over 4,000 children under our care right this moment. And we've been doing this for 28 years. So I had to share this great victory with you and tell you that Swami's going to be coming back. And I'm going to do some exclusive live interviews with her as soon as she can find Wi-Fi. I'll be letting you guys know, everybody who's hooked up with odx.tv, all you guys, I'll be notifying you guys. If you guys would like to stand with us and you're like, y'all must be a big giant mega church. No, we're not. We are one church, and we are not, like tens of thousands of people. We're a large congregation, and I praise God for that. But I mean, we're a church, and we're not a big church. There's people that are standing with us all over the world. And the only reason we have 18 rescue centers and don't have 118 is because we don't have that many people standing with us yet. As soon as they do, we'll do that. We know where the next one is, and where the next one is, and where the next one is. We know how to rescue kids. Pastor Darrell Knight told me the other day, I know how we can rescue 150 children right now in Chiapas, Mexico. And we have a rescue center there. It's like, you want to rescue 150 kids? You want to? I'm like, yes, I do. So would you please consider standing with us? If you're not already partnering with us, stand with us so that we can keep these kids rescued. We're beefing up our security at every single place now. It's going to cost a lot of money, but I'm not going to go through this again. I don't want to go through this again. These kids, the world is changing. Pornography is driving it. There's hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars behind pornography. And we are one congregation with a very limited amount of money. And I just want to just say this. I don't care how much it costs, man. We'll continue to throw them. We spend so much on this. When I'm talking about percentage wise. And I would like to ask you, please stand with us. There's a way that you can give. You can call this number. You can give online at odx.tv. If you want to, and do this as unto the Lord. Do this as unto the Lord and say, Jesus, I want to give into this rescue, and I want to give into keeping these kids rescued. And you can also give by mail. And if you're like, you know what, I would rather just write a check, write it out to Troy Brewer Ministries. Write it out to TBM and send it to that post office box 3775 Burleson, Texas 76097, because we are literally about to start setting up very professional security teams at every single one of our places. And it's going to be expensive, but it's going to be worth it. It's going to save lives, and we're not going to go through this mess again. So thank you so much, man, for calling the number, for writing the check, for sending that in, or just for praying for us. If you've already given to this, thank you. Thank you. You did it. We did it. We did it. Thank you. If you prayed for us, you need to know that with the best possible outcome that could possibly happen happened today. And I don't even really know how it happened yet, but it happened. And I'll know all the details later, and then I'll share it with you exclusively on odx.tv and for all my ODX family. And I wish you guys had been in the room. Connie was in the room today. Ben was in the room. Lisa was in the room. Matthew was in the room. Tia was in the room. Hunter was in the room. And I just kept, the whole time I was doing media, I just kept looking at my phone. Maybe Swanme's going to send a text. We have a secure thing on our phones. And maybe and then she sends this picture. I want to show you the picture one more time. Look at this picture. That is literally moments after that little girl was rescued. Cleaned her up, put new clothes on her, braided her hair, and Swanamy is a wreck. Look at what a wreck Swanamy is. Oh, whenever we got this picture, and all it said is it just said, "We've got her." Thank you, Connie. And it just said, "We've got her." And then it had little tear emojis, little emojis with crying, and it was emoji, 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 emoji. She's like crying, 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 crying. And guys, it's a huge win for the kingdom. Devil, you lose. You cosmic punk, you will be judged. You will bow your knee to the Lord, to the Lord Jesus Christ. And at the end of the day, you're nothing but the servant of Yahweh anyway. And we who are led by the Spirit of God, He's given us power to be called the sons of God. And He moves for us, and He loves His children, and there's nothing you can do about it. And we, as the body of King Jesus, there is a tsunami of a revival that is taking place right now, and it does not look like any revival anybody thought was coming. And it has to do with the rescue of children throughout the world. That the body of Jesus is standing up for children. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love it. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. And I just want to say to you that the Spirit of the Lord is with us, and God is so good. And yeah, so Ben, you can switch over to that if you want to, buddy. The Spirit of the Lord is with us. God is so good. I am so grateful. Welcome to Third Stage Ranch. I'm literally in my barn, and we are rejoicing. And as soon as I get the details, I'm going to share it with everybody. Tomorrow, on ODX tomorrow on the prophetic life. I have two movie producers that's going to be joining me. They have been working with me through this. They actually got me connected to some secret squirrel guys. They're making a movie about sexual trafficking. They're going to be joining me tomorrow at 1:00 Central Standard Time. Look up the movie. It's called The Dream Film. Just look up Dream. There's no D. Dream is the name of the movie. Look up Dream Film and you'll see it there. I'll show you the trailer tomorrow whenever we're all together. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for loving children. Thank you for loving Jesus. Thank you for taking action and for actually doing something. Guys, and until the next time I see you, I'll call you the head and not the tail, above and not beneath, and highly favored of the Lord. Bye-bye, everybody.